Greetings, everyone. Welcome, COS Today. My name's Dale Parrish. I'm the host, along with Mr. Ken Kashuba. Hi, Ken.
Dale.
Ken is the state communications coordinator for the state of Indiana for Convention of States. Ken, you've been along with me for quite some time.
Yeah, I've kind of lost track of the years, and I'm not even sure of the numbers. I know we were trying to keep track of that for a while, but
I've been tracking it. This is number 199.
Ooh,
number 199.
One more, and I'll hit the big 200. Huh? Okay.
That's right. That's right. As a matter of fact, I know we don't show this anymore, but there it is.
Okay, number 341 overall.
341, and you've been on board for 199.
Right. And who is Skip?
So I keep Skip means don't show it.
I got you. I thought maybe Skip developed that, but no, that's okay.
No. Okay, well, folks, COS Today, we think we're saving the country with Convention of States. That's what we're all about. That's the ultimate goal here with Convention of States, saving the country. So that's what we strive to do. Well, Ken, let's let our friend Maringo Mike just remind everybody a little bit about the show and the QR code and so forth. So,
all right,
let's bring him on here, and we'll.
In the program, please be sure and hit the like and subscribe buttons along with the notifications bell so you'll always know when we go live. We appreciate your support and hope you'll join us on our mission to use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Now, back to the program.
He gets right to the point, Dale. He gets right to the point. Yeah,
he does. He's that's the new Maringo Mike for 2026. Yeah. He's been revised and revitalized and doing a great job for us. Well, Ken, let's get right into our first segment here. This is our In Focus segment. We've had great response on this segment where we bring in 2 or 3 additional guests, and we just talk about what's on our mind and what's caught our attention or our focus. So let's bring on all the young people. We're bringing on young people tonight, okay?
That's good.
I'll get some brownie points here, I think.
Maybe.
And
Starting with the youngest of all.
The first one is Miss Debbie Stewart. Debbie is
Hi, Debbie.
COS supporter and very much a contributor to COS Today. Here's the young person I guess I was really referring to, Esther Cook. Hi, Esther.
Hi, good to be back. Good to see you guys.
Good. Esther is with our national team with COS. And where are you? You're based in Oklahoma, is it? Or
Colorado.
Yeah, nothing going on in Colorado. I mean, that's just nothing happening there for sure, right? Okay. And here is another contributor, Mr. Brett Sterling.
Just try to curb your enthusiasm there, Dale. I would like to point out, compared to you, most everybody that you're going to have on here that can still speak and feed themselves is going to be younger. So
now I knew he was.
That was he even had that one scripted.
I think he did. Yes.
He's been dying to put that one in. Yes.
Yeah.
So and quite honestly, it's true. I guess I have to admit. I'm sure I'm the oldest one here, but anyway.
And the wisest.
There you go. See, that's why Debbie's on here so often.
I wouldn't say it if I didn't care, Dale.
Okay. See what I deal with, Esther. Are you getting an idea of what I have to deal with here?
Yeah, but it keeps you young, Dale. It keeps you young.
Did you hear that, Brett? Okay.
Well, yeah, it's Ken has to live in the same state with you, so that's okay.
That's good.
Well, anyway, Brett is the state director for Convention of States for Missouri, state director. So. Always and a longtime contributor to COS. Well, like I said, in this segment, it's what's caught your interest? What has your focus? And let's start with the youngest person on this group, Esther. What's got your interest? What's got your focus this week?
Thanks, Dale. I've been really thinking a lot about the role of AI, artificial intelligence, and how do we engage with that as just private citizens. There's obviously a lot of different angles. You can talk about how it's been used in government, in the military, even what they've been able to do with these targeted strikes with drones and all of these things. But I think for me, it's been, what does it look like for me personally? And I think I've seen a lot of people going to the extreme on one end or the other. So either they're saying AI is awful, it's going to take over the world, or it's going to completely dumb down our brains, or any number of things. And so just we're going to ignore it and just be like, we can't see it, it doesn't exist. And then on the other side, I think there's people who have made it a god in a way. And so they ask everything, everything is directed to AI. If they need to do anything, it's like, oh, well, let's have AI do it for me, and almost have idolized it in too great an extent, I think. And so for me, it's really finding what is that middle balance of still retaining, authorship, not just letting AI write everything for me, using it as a thought partner. So that's been a really interesting use that I've been able to explore of really being able to deepen and clarify my own thoughts, rather than just outsourcing them to an unthinking, fake, very powerful machine. And so that has been really interesting. I think also just realizing you always have to stay in control of it and supervise it, both for quality and just for the human voice and the element. And I think the more that the world gets increasingly into technology, we really need to lean into that human element, which is one of my favorite things about Convention of States, by the way, is just the people who are in it. And I think that can never be replaced. So.
Now, Esther, when you say AI, are you referring to what do you use ChatGPT or programs of that nature when you say?
Yeah, the main one I use right now is ChatGPT. I actually took a class about it a month ago. I was initially one of those people that was like, no, I'm an artist. I am going to have real intelligence, not artificial intelligence. And so I was a later adopter, but then had some people I really respected in my life say, you know what, you should have it work for you. You don't have to embrace everything about it. You can decide what boundaries you want to have, but you need to actually figure it out and not ignore it. And so took a really helpful class and been experimenting with it. And, I know there's tons of tools out there, but I'm sticking with one for right now, and we'll go from there.
Well, that's the one I use mainly. Now, my grandson introduced me to a program called Claude, which I understand is a popular one as well. But kind of sounds like the same thing. But and of course, then there's some others, Copilot and stuff, ones like that. Debbie, Brett, do either of you use AI in anything you do?
Go ahead, Brett.
Debbie, you want to go ahead?
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? It's funny. I used it today to look up some things on my talk that I'm going to do when we're done here. And it was very interesting. It was very sensitive to my questions. It wouldn't answer some of them, or it funneled me over here like, oh, well, you can't assume this. You have to go over there. And it was all about Islam. So it was very interesting. I'll need to try the same thing out with Christianity and see what I get.
Okay.
I haven't used it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I use Grok. I know that at Convention of the States, our tech team has been going through and looking at different AI engines, and I think that Grok is one that has kind of cleared the hurdles, and I think Perplexity is another. But I use Grok, and for research and for developing emails for work related emails and stuff like that, just to try to come up with some different ideas. But yeah, I think I'm like Esther. I'm very, very leery. I've seen enough sci-fi movies to where, if whenever it gets to be man versus machine, it never works out well for man. The machines normally win. And so I'm a cautious user, I guess. But it's very good for research. It'll answer the questions that you ask it. And I fact checked it, and several times where I've used it, and I've seen that it is correct unless the resources that it relies on are incorrect.
Well, I use ChatGPT, and I do. I find I'm using it more and more, and quite honestly, and I have, my experience has been very good with it so far. I've had to learn how to talk to it, and kind of direct it in certain ways. But Ken, do you use any kind of program?
Well, I was going to get to that. I do use Perplexity myself for some of my individual things, but I have to admit it at this point, and whether you want to bring it up or not, AI is used for our programming. Our shorts are cut with an AI program, which helps us put out programming. And as a videographer, it's creeping more and more into things that we do, little shortcuts that help. And as Esther says, it really, the key is keeping your own creativity and your own flavor in everything, and basically using it to help you save time. So it is something that I probably use a little bit more with different tools than you are using for just talking to it and having it help you in certain areas. Some of the tools I'm using are definitely more video oriented or audio oriented.
Now, that's interesting. When Esther says, I want to talk about AI, I want to talk about using AI, I immediately thought of ChatGPT. But there are then programs like what we use to develop our shorts that are AI based. That's kind of am I correct? That's a different form of AI. I mean, that's not.
Yeah, I mean, well, it uses the same principle. I mean, when you talk about the different chats, they're all going out and figuring out different things based on what you're looking for, and they are analyzing, and they're getting used to what they're creating. They're creating stuff that's in response to what they learn about you. And it's the same thing with the other programs. I mean, video and some of the things that are used on that side of things. They and again, it comes down to, I mean, honestly, when I first started using some of them, it almost was taking me twice as long, because you had to learn how to prompt. And if your prompt isn't just right, weird things pop up, and so that can happen. But so it is a matter of learning how to use the prompt and how to describe what you're looking for, and then the programming does learn what you're looking for and a little bit more about you.
Dale, one thing I just wanted to throw in here real quick is we're actually using. I'm in the transportation industry, and we're actually have rolled this out in our office within the last week or two, to where we are using an AI tool to negotiate rates with carriers that haul our loads. Oh. And so it's ultimately up to a human being whether to tender a load to a carrier or not. But if we have somebody can come and say, hey, I'm interested in this load going from, say, Fort Wayne, Indiana to New York City, and you're going to pay this rate. Yeah, I'll do it for that. And then what the AI tool will just do is the AI tool will just send the load information to them. They've already cleared and been vetted in our system, and they'll just basically send the load information there, assign the load, and it's taken out of our system. And so that's something that it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah. We got to move on here, but Esther, how long was the class that you took on ChatGPT?
It was 3 days for about 6 hours a day, and then homework. So pretty
Really?
intense.
Oh,
it was
Pretty
good.
intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
wow. Interesting. Okay. Debbie, what's on your mind?
Yeah, thanks. Really, I just been kind of keeping my eye on the whole Trump sent ICE agents to all the airports to help out because, I had just recently flown and my son just flew last week. He went out to Colorado to go snowboarding and came back. And,
Oh.
I just had been talking to friends about some of the airport lines and watching that. And so I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was kind of clever that he sent the ICE agents there, A, to help with the lines. B, it set the Democrats into a spin because, they are what's holding up them getting their money. And C, they were able to keep the lines down both because certain people didn't want to show up because they want to stay away from them. And D, they also were able to arrest some people and find some people because they were out there where more people are in the airports and stuff. So I'm not saying all your arrests were because of that, but I know at Chicago O'Hare, I know at Kennedy and LaGuardia and Houston, there were some arrests there with some criminals, not just people and families. I heard Chuck Schumer say, oh, they're going to separate the parents from the kids. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just nuts to say that. But they did find some criminals and they did arrest them. And they were like people who had done some pretty bad things. And so I thought it was kind of clever what Trump did. I'm not sure anybody's really done that before, but I thought that was a good move.
Yeah.
Debbie, I read a story where one of them actually saved the life of a baby.
I can believe that. Do you know what happened there?
I saw some.
I don't know the
video
full
on
story.
that.
I just know that there was an ICE agent that saved a baby's life. I don't know what it was, what the circumstances were, but
think it
when
was
you
a
read
choking.
that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, so they're doing that and they're helping people. I know. One of the other things I read was they'll stand in line for somebody so they can go to the bathroom. These kind of things aren't talked about very much from the Democratic side.
Yeah, and they did some interviewing of some of the people in the airports, and it was all good. And so don't let it get out into the media because we wouldn't want to shift the narrative
Oh, no.
that ICE actually is helping, right, and doing a good thing here in America.
Yeah.
But
I heard a news report that evidently at airports where these lines are 4 or 5 hours long, that they're actually hiring people to stand in line for them. So I guess I don't know how you find someone to do that, but I guess.
Well, Dale, I got to ask a question on that. Are they requiring a voter? I mean, an ID, a picture ID, in order to do that? I mean,
I'm talking about an employment circumstance here.
okay, just saying. I think if I was standing in line and I wanted somebody, I was going to pay somebody to stand in line for me. I think I'd want to see a picture ID.
Now they're just saving the spot in line. They're not going through the.
And they may sell your place in line if you're gone even too long.
That's a possibility. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Boy,
They'd have to make sure that it pays better than protesting a No Kings protest or something like that.
Okay. All right. So, yes, Debbie, that has been interesting to see the use of ICE agents at the airports and so forth, and they're maskless too at these airports. They're not wearing masks.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be interesting what they can say negative about them. But I did hear that the TSA agents are going to get their pay maybe this week.
Some starting today, I think.
Okay.
From what I understand.
Yep.
And apparently, the way Trump is paying them is now being challenged legally. That yes, isn't that something? I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Well, tomorrow they'll be legally challenging how he sat down in his chair. Does it really matter?
I think you're right. All right, Brett, what's up with you? What are you focused on?
Well, there were a couple interesting court cases that went through state courts this last week, and one of them had to do with a lawsuit against Meta, which is the parent of Facebook, and also, I believe, let's see,
Instagram.
Google owns YouTube. So I'm trying to think they have. I can't remember the other platforms that Meta owns, but quite a few. Meta,
Instagram.
What's that?
Instagram.
There you go. Yep. There you go. Yep, that's one. So what there have been lawsuits challenging some of the content and what these platforms choose to have as content. And there's a section it's in the Communications Decency Act of 1996. It's called Section 230. And what Section 230 is it separates a platform, which would be what Meta claims that Facebook is, that, hey, we just provide the forum to where individuals can go and post content, as opposed to a content provider, which would be like a newspaper. A newspaper actually would author articles and would print in their newspaper. So that's been what Google and Meta and even Twitter before Elon took it over. What they've always argued is, hey, you know what? We don't provide content. We're just a platform. And so far, all these lawsuits against these social media platforms have failed because they have not been able to pierce through the Section 230 protection. Well, last week there were actually two different cases, one in California, and this Los Angeles jury found last Wednesday on the March 25th, found Meta and Google liable for a young woman's depression and suicidal thoughts. She had claimed that she had become addicted to Instagram and YouTube at a very young age, and she was able to prove that to the jury, and the jury ordered Meta and Google to pay a combined $6 million in damages. Now, there was another case over in New Mexico where, and this was on the 24th, last Tuesday, where jurors ordered Meta to pay $375 million after finding that the company had misled users about the safety of its products for young users and enabled the sexual exploitation of children on its platforms. So the argument that was made in both these cases is that it's not just it was not directly going that challenging whether they're a content provider or just a platform, a forum. It was the way that you have your platform set up lends itself to explicitly exploiting children, and both in a sexual nature and also in a mental health nature. So they were able to prove this case. Obviously, Meta and Google did not agree, but so they're going to challenge this. It'll be appealed. It'll probably end up in the Supreme Court, to where the Supreme Court's going to have to rule somewhere on this Section 230 protection for social media platforms. But this is a landmark case. That this is just the first time to whenever one of these social media platforms have been held liable for the way that they have their product structured, and the harm that it can cause. So that was pretty.
And there's hundreds of other cases that are tied into this that will be affected by the ultimate resolution of these cases. Yeah,
absolutely. If this holds up, if you thought the lawsuits against the tobacco companies were something to watch, just wait till you see this, because there's deeper pockets here.
Right.
And yeah, it's gonna be just a cavalcade of lawsuits there. So that was one of the cases, and then the other was another landmark case, to where this was back in this was an award to a person, and I think it was her her name is Fox Varian. She's now 22 years old, but I guess either she thought or her parents thought or she was convinced that she was actually a boy back in her teen years. And she was awarded a $2 million settlement in New York against a couple doctors. That one was an actual surgeon. I think another was possibly a psychologist, I believe, to where they really pushed apparently Fox getting a double mastectomy when she was 16 years old. So this is so they were actually found medical malpractice, and so the suit is that Fox was awarded $1.6 million for past and future pain and suffering, an additional $400,000 for future medical expenses. So this is the actual. There have been several detransitioners, and what a detransitioner is, it's somebody who's gone through this as a minor. This basically it's genital mutilation surgery. It's, they say it's gender affirming care. It's not. It's gender denying care. It denies the gender, the sex of, I don't think of the person. You're not assigned a sex at birth. I mean, you are a boy, you're a male or a female, just like you're 22 inches long or you're 7 pounds. I mean, it's a definite thing. It's not just something that they just make up or they just kind of go back and forth and just like, well, I guess it's time for us to have a boy. So whatever comes out here is going to be a boy. God doesn't make mistakes at the factory. So this is the first, what a detransitioner, I guess, going back to what a detransitioner is somebody who's had this gender denying surgery to cut off body parts or paste body parts on from other parts of their body, and in an attempt to change their actual sex. And later they figure out, hey, you know what, this all I was is, hey, I was a girl and I like to go out and play baseball. I wasn't a boy, or I was a guy. I was a boy, and I like watching Hannah Montana or something like that. I mean, it's really something just as simple as that. So, and Chloe Cole has been a champion in this, and I've met Chloe, and she is an absolute rock star, incredibly courageous in kind of leading this detransitioner movement. So that's the first case, hopefully the first of many. And if you start holding these Joseph Mengele wannabes liable for their actions, then I think that you're going to see these gender denying surgeries fizzle out really, really quick when it starts costing these doctors millions and millions of dollars.
Do you think this is ever really going to be completely eliminated from our society?
It might happen in the fringes, but it is not going to be mainstreamed like it has been. And you're not going to have 30 or 40% of entering high school freshmen say, yeah, I'm non-binary, and which non-binary would mean that you're either binary or you're non-binary, which is a binary choice, which they can't quite wrap their head around. So, I mean, it completely does not make any sense whatsoever. But I think when it starts hitting these frauds in their pocketbook and taking millions out of their account, it'll stop.
I don't know. The medical part, the surgeries and so forth may stop, but this movement of this trans movement, I don't know if that's stoppable, quite honestly.
Well, it's interesting, but also I think it was just maybe Friday. I think the International Olympic Committee came out and they said that boys are going to compete in boys sports and women are going to compete in women's sports, and never the twain shall meet. And so that is a massive change in thought from not exactly a conservative organization and not a Christian-based organization. I mean, this is a New World Order type, very left-leaning committee, the IOC. And so even the IOC seen it. And on top of that, I think Bob Costas, who was brilliant, has a brilliant mind, but a big time leftist. He said on CNBC this last week, he's just like, this is just common sense. You know, boys and girls are different, and they're born different, and they can't just decide to cross over and be another sex. He goes, this is just common sense. So he's getting pilloried by there. So, you know, he'll probably be voted off the liberal island here, Survivor style. And, you know, but, you know, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny when you see some of these people come out and actually speak common sense, that they're
but you know what
careers progress to the point to where I don't really care. You can't hurt me.
But is this common sense, this effort at trying to reverse this trend, is this basically part of the Trump administration, the last election? You know, what happens at the next election when just the opposite is voted into power? Is this going to be revived, you think, or is this going to be a permanent stoppage to this type of?
Yeah, you know, I don't think this. I think it's permanent, because, and it has some legs, because it is organically coming out of where pop culture is now agreeing with some of this, different elements of pop culture, and it's not actually something that, you know, that President Trump has issued an executive order and banned DEI funding to schools that teach diversity, or excuse me, division, exclusion, and inequity. That's what I think DEI actually stands for. Right. But you know, it's that you have elements of pop culture coming out on their own. And
Debbie, Esther, what do you think?
Bill Maher's another one. He's done that for quite some time.
Is this gonna be permanent, do you think, or this trend, or is it going to get all reversed the next administration that comes in?
Well, I think the key is that change has to happen in people's hearts. It isn't a politically motivated thing. I think it's very impactful to see examples of people whose lives have been destroyed by going along with the narrative. And so I think as those stories become more public, it becomes less of just, well, everybody lived happily ever after by taking this course. And I believe that, you know, we're in a third great awakening, and that people's hearts are being touched by God. And even though I don't think it can happen naturally, with God, all things are possible. And I think that's really the key. So I'm hopeful, along with Brett, that we can really see a change in our culture.
So maybe more of these stories need to be brought to the public and make known, don't you think?
People know the truth. I was talking to somebody who swore there is no God and all religions are the same and everything, and they're a business owner, and I just asked him. I said, "Did you write a check today?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, what year did you put on the check?" And he said, 2026. And he kind of like looking at me just like, why? I'm like, well, you believe in Jesus then? He's like, no, I don't. How can you say that? I said, because the entire world changed the way that they mark time based upon Jesus' birth. If you did not believe in Jesus' birth, then you would not have put year 2026 on here, which is 2026 years after Jesus' birth. You would have written down 5,842, whatever. And so you know the truth, you just deny the truth. That was kind of the end of the conversation. So
that's a good one.
I'm just like, prove me wrong. I mean, just tell me I'm wrong.
You know,
Debbie,
I find it interesting that the topic that Brett brought up. I happened to have a video project this past weekend for a corporation of and a mental health facilities, a little over 30 of them across the country right now. And I had an interesting talk with the director of the facility I was in, which happens to be the largest one. It was out of Ohio, Springfield of all places. And you can remember what kind of things went on in Springfield not too long ago. But I brought that up with the director about transgender. I asked him if they had that type of experience there, if they were seeing, what they were seeing with that. And she brought up a couple of interesting points. She said, our company, our corporation is not, and this is kind of like Trump, not be held to any hospital, doctors association, or pharmaceutical companies. We treat mental health here, especially with transgenderism, as mental health, and we don't. The conversation isn't to make them feel good about, or to try and understand their feelings. It's basically to get to the root of their problem. So I found it interesting that there were, at least at this point, 30 of these particular mental health facilities around the country that are approaching it this way, and that goes to say that there are others out there that the way they treat it is to basically say, oh, okay, let me make you feel better about what you're feeling. So they really are looking to address it, and I think that's another thing that may be coming through Robert Kennedy's side of things. Maybe if we could I think we definitely need some more mental health facilities to be able to treat this, in the way it needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Debbie, any thoughts on this issue before we move on?
Well, I just think that, it starts really in the schools, I think is huge. And so depending on what we're doing right now, it takes a long time to trickle down and change because, with Obama and with Biden, they brought a lot of teachers in that believed in all this stuff. They were recruited. It's going to take a while to get them out of the system. So I just don't know how long that's going to take before another administration comes in that maybe's for it again.
Yeah.
And if they're teaching it at the kindergarten and first grade and second grade level, and they're reading books like, Johnny has two mommies and that's fine and things like that, or, they're teaching them right away that, hey, if you guys are boys in the class, you don't have to be a boy, like you can choose, then it's going to be a while.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Brett. See what you started here, Brett. You just got it all stirred up and okay, Ken, we're kind of getting close on time here. Okay. Ken, what's
I can make mine kind of short. I'm going to kind of springboard off of Debbie's topic, talking about TSA and the airports. I'm looking at. I had an interesting thought process as I looked at the 3 tiers of Convention of States. It's term limits, fiscal responsibility, and federal overreach. And I got to thinking, as I look at our Congress members who just jetted off on vacation, and left this safety issue totally to the wind as they went off and did their vacations or taking their time off without addressing something that they should have literally, their feet should have been nailed to the floor and they should have stayed there till they knocked it out, because their resistance, and I'll call it a resistance because there's no talking about it. There's no discussions about it. They're not trying to come to an answer. They're really just trying to resist. And not only is it fiscal irresponsible because they're causing many not to have a paycheck, but it's also federal overreach because basically they're affecting airports and the activities of corporations who are. I read where one airline just went bankrupt. I don't know who it was, but an airline just went bankrupt, and then it led me to term limits. And I thought to myself, you know what? I did hear 1 or 2 congressmen over the weekend that actually said, you know what? We need to get an executive order or even an amendment that comes about that says, you know what? If the Congress's paychecks are totally shut off because of a government shutdown, and they don't get that returned when they come back, so in other words, they lose it for good, you wouldn't see any of this happening. They wouldn't walk away without their paycheck. It's something that I think should be done because it's just another tool that they use for again, they're not serving we the people. They're serving themselves. And in this point, it's causing death. It's causing financial problems, and it certainly warrants term limits at this point, so we don't have more of this going on. And it was just my thought over the weekend that it really hit all three of our pillars, and to me it was quite disgusting to see these guys just vacation time. We'll see. We'll deal with this later. And I know, looking at Chuck Schumer, really disgusting that this guy who's been 50 some odd years, never wrote a paycheck to anybody, and here he is causing millions of people to lose their paychecks. It's just disgusting. That's my point. That's my focus tonight.
All right. I agree with you. I can't believe this won't have some impact on the midterm elections. I mean, it's just got to be
Hope so.
impact, don't you think? Unless the media continues to spin it
I hope people can see it for what it is. And based on the amount of people that are lining up at the airports for 5 to 6 hours, I think they'll be pretty angry for a couple of months.
Would think so. I would think so. Yeah. Well, I got a couple things. I guess my main one is obviously following the situation in Iran. And I keep waiting and looking for more and more information and reports to come about regarding the people of Iran. And see, this is part of the COS perspective. I might want to point out too. One of our core values is self-governance in our organization, and we place a high value on self-governance. Well, that's what we're trying to see, I think, in Iran. Is we're trying to see the people get involved and take on and become self-governing in their country to a much larger extent. And I keep waiting and looking for more and more information to come about. I don't know. Do any of you know who are some of the stronger groups amongst the population? Who's got a good chance maybe at becoming part of the government? I haven't heard very much at all about that particular topic. So
I think part of that equation, Dale, is ammunition. And it points to our country and how they always want to talk about taking our guns away. This is a perfect example as to why you don't. Well,
that's interesting. I've heard comments now, about the CIA providing weapons to some of these groups of citizens, because that's right. They don't have anything, and in the way of weapons. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's really going on. Also, that CIA's training, providing training to some of these groups. I just am unable to find out much information about that. Maybe I need to ask ChatGPT to tell me what they know about this, huh?
They'll tell you too sensitive of information. They'll shut you down probably.
We got a couple minutes left here. I guess the other thing that caught my attention, of course, is the No Kings Day, and I don't know. I heard one lady talking about how Maduro out of Venezuela, that we shouldn't have done that was the wrong thing to do. He was a duly elected president of Venezuela. And we know that's not true. Just how these people can be that way, and of course, then the report of No Kings Day celebrations going on in London, how and they have a king, and celebrating No Kings Day. That doesn't make sense at all.
Dale, we have one comment about your prior concern tonight, so I'll go ahead and post that up. It's from our friend.
Really? Okay.
And he says, I wonder what the people in Iran think of our Second Amendment nowadays, and see what happens when government disarms the citizens.
Yeah.
So he was right on board there with what my comment
Yeah,
was.
that's a good thought. Good thought. Yeah.
Well, Dale, I don't know if you caught Mazie Hiruno, normally a complete total lunatic. She actually ended all this no king stuff because she actually came out and said Donald Trump is not a king. He's never been a king. I'm like, I agree. Are we done? Are we done here? I mean, but the other thing is, I saw some pictures, and this happened in several different locations, and it wasn't just like one or two people; it was lots of people. That you saw the Iranian flag, which is a tyrannical, theocratic, authoritarian regime. You had the Chinese flag. You had the Russian flag, which are dictatorships, are authoritarian regimes that you could say that they have kings. I mean, these people don't have the slightest clue why they're there, what they're doing, or what their message is, and it's incredibly apparent whenever anybody asks them a question. It's words, Kamala Harris word salad at best. Most of the time, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I got paid $22 an hour to show up here on a Saturday and walk around for 3 hours. I mean, it's dumb.
Yeah.
The saying that comes to mind when I'm listening to Dale and I'm seeing like headlines is the blind leading the blind. Because I just so agree with what Brett's saying. Half of them, more than half, they don't even know what they're doing and why they're doing it. And they're just jumping on the bandwagon. And
It's got to be that, Debbie. I think you're right.
Yeah,
And they are getting paid.
Go ahead, Brett.
I was going to say they are getting paid. I know there's a Fox News article that went through and uncovered basically, and Data Republican, small r is her handle on X. If you don't follow her, great follow. She's a data architecture person that does stuff that I can't even begin to understand, but she'll go through and she'll kind of connect networks and kind of connect the dots a little bit. Very, very good work. She's also deaf and nonverbal, which is incredible that she can do this. But there are funding networks that have come out to where this No Kings rally was backed by George Soros. Imagine that. And had about $3 billion worth of funding behind it. So this is not an organic uprising. This is an orchestrated,
not a grassroots thing, huh?
No.
Dale, I want to throw in one more thing, and it goes a bit deeper, and I think it's something, we have a segment that we've been doing here recently about the fall of Rome and history and how that plays. And what I want to bring up is something that I find very interesting, and again, it's deeper, and it's not political; it's more biblical. The Bible describes a time in Israel's history with a sobering line. It's in those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. That's from Judges 21:25, and that wasn't a picture of freedom. It was a picture of disorder, which led to destruction. And so without authority and without a standard above the individual, society doesn't flourish, it fragments. And I think we're seeing a very good portion of that and really need to nip it in the bud.
Good point.
Amen.
touching.
All right. Brett, Esther, Debbie, thank you very much. And Ken. Now, Ken, you're not going anywhere.
No, I don't get any time off.
Debbie, Esther, Brett and Esther, thank you very much. Debbie, you hang on. We're gonna bring you back here very shortly. So, but anyway, thank you very much, guys, for the In Focus group.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Another good one. I tell you, Ken, you've heard me say this. I really, really enjoy that segment, and I think we do a really
and we're never short of topics, so it's easy to talk about.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's move right on. John Ackerman is back on his soapbox again.
Okay.
So let's see what John's got for us tonight.
Ackerman for Convention of States. The late great economist Milton Friedman won the Nobel Prize in economics back in 1976. Now that's when the Nobel Prize was given for accomplishment rather than for political stance. Be that as it may, one of the many thousands of things that Milton Friedman said was this, and I quote, "Wherever government bureaucracy takes over, costs go up and quality goes down." Let that one sink in. Wherever government bureaucracy takes over, costs go up and quality goes down. That has never been more true than today. I can't think of anything the government does better than private industry would do other than the military. I think we've got pretty good Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. I think the government does pretty good at military things. But think about the post office. Costs go up, service goes down. Think about TSA. There's currently a move to get rid of TSA and go back to the way it was before 9/11, where airports hired private security to handle that. The 9/11 hijackers didn't sneak anything on board that was illegal. And I think private contractors could do the job of TSA just as good, if not better, than the government does, probably at a lower cost. The time has come to call for a convention of states. Nope, the time has come to have the convention of states. We've got to improve service and we've got to cut costs. The time is now.
Yep. Another good one from John.
Always thinking.
Always thinking. Yep. He's right. He's right.
He is.
Government gets involved.
Yep. And that's what happens.
The term is escaping me again. The 17 things that the government is responsible for. Enumerated powers.
Yeah.
I always have a hard time.
I want to remember. Yeah.
The 17 enumerated powers, according to the Constitution, were the only things that the government was supposed to handle. And, my goodness, it's been completely blown out of proportion. But, I had forgotten that prior to 9/11, the security and so forth at airports was contracted at the airport level.
Yep.
And it was 9/11 that created this TSA at the airports. And I don't know. Got a point there.
And it's interesting looking back at some of the congressmen who, again, are still in office and what some of their talking points were back then. They did they've done a total 180-degree flip from where they were right after 9/11.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here. Next segment. I asked Debbie Stewart to investigate this. Remember, in the last COS Perspective segment that we did, we talked about is our country at a financial breaking point, or when will we reach in our country the financial breaking point where there's no return. We can't save it. There's nothing we can do to reverse the course. So I've been hearing more and more about Islam. It seems to be being in the news more and more frequently. So I asked Debbie Stewart to give us a report on Islam. Is there a breaking point? Is in fact it's going to overcome us? Should we be alarmed? So anyway, she's probably prepared something completely different than what I just said, but we'll see. We'll bring her on and see what she's got to show us.
See where she
tonight.
takes us. Yeah.
Let's bring her back on here. Hello, Debbie.
Oh, you weren't doing the price of rice in China? Shoot. Oh,
No, did I mention the price of rice in China? Did I mention that?
I thought that's what we were talking about today.
All right, if you say so. Okay, we'll go with it. Now, what you got for us tonight, Debbie?
Yeah, so I will say that this was the most difficult thing that I've reported on, because any example we have of Islam becoming the predominant religion, governance, Sharia law, are with nations who aren't typically democracies. And if you look at a map of the United States, I almost sent this to you, Dale, but if you can picture a map of the world, the whole northern part of Africa, so the top half almost, and then right kind of up to the right, the Middle East, and then even up touching the bottom part of Western Europe is kind of, and then down into Indonesia. You know, we kind of skip over India, but then on the other side of India is it Bangladesh? No, it's I can't remember, but it goes up to the right to like Azerbaijan, and even Albania now are basically Muslim dominated countries. And so, you know, some of those, like I looked up the Sudan. Okay, so Sudan is predominantly Muslim now, and I looked up what was it that really pushed them into Sharia law. Well, somebody became president in 1985. I remember his name, but he basically made a law that they were going to follow Sharia law. And 2 years later, they ousted him. And then there were lots of other things that went on. So really, I'm trying to look at a country that's like ours, like the UK. And the UK is they're further along than we are as far as the domination of the Islamic religion, okay? But they're not to a point now. They're concentrated like in England. There's definitely like, I followed this guy who goes over there, and he was like, it looked like it was 90% Muslims. And a lot of them spoke Bengali. They didn't speak Arab. There's lots of dialects, but they were a Bengali. You know, a lot of them don't speak English. You're going to see the hajibs. You're going to see, you go into clothes stores and they're Arab clothes. He says it looks like an Arab nation. And then in some of the other cities, kind of similar there. As you get into Wales and some of the other nations there, it's not as strong. I think Northern Ireland, Wales, England, and what's the fourth one? Oh, that's the UK. I forget. Well, anyways, but it's predominantly London was, you know, they're calling it Londonistan or something like that. Mm-hmm. So going back to your question, there's no way to know the exact moment, but we can discern the signs. Okay. Now I did read, I'm going to refer you to something by the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy. So it's the ISGAP, ISGAP. And they did a landmark 200-page report on the Muslim Brotherhood strategy to enter into North America and take over. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But I did see somebody, I looked up so many places. Where is the breaking point? Where does this, and nobody would answer that. And ChatGPT, actually, it was Copilot, was like, oh, that's a myth, and they don't try to take over. And they were very sensitive to any questions I asked. And I only did that because I couldn't find it anywhere.
Really, that was the response from Copilot or AI programs like that, huh?
Yeah, Copilot was like, "Oh, that's a That's a conspiracy theory. We don't want to go here, and we don't want to say this, and we don't want to specify this. And so they basically were giving you just common stuff. But I only did that because looking for articles and things out there, there's no place where it just breaks and it's too late. It depends on the nation, who's in leadership, how much of the population, how many cities of that country, what kind of government did they have before. So all these things play into it. So there's no pattern of where that breaking point is. Because my understanding was, you said, where is the breaking point where we can't turn back from Islam?
Right.
Is that okay?
Right.
So they call it, the Islamic people call it civilization jihad. Now, in the past, if you look at the history of the Islamic group, they have taken over usually through violence. But that doesn't work here with the democracy. And like we talked about earlier, we have all the weapons and everything here. So they do it different. They call it civilization jihad, where they infiltrate, they consolidate power, then they have open war with leadership, and then it becomes a totalitarian Islamic theocracy. Those were the 4 phases. And I went through those before. What I would say is that we've already kind of we're meshed in phase 1 of the Islamic conquest, which is infiltration. Definitely, they move in. They're real subtle. We're peaceful. We have a real high birth rate, but we love kids. And they start building a ton of mosques, which we've definitely seen this. We talked like a month or two ago about how in some states they had almost doubled. They've gone up for 25-30%, right?
Yeah, those are the type of signs, it seems to me, that we're beginning to see.
Yes. Then you see things coming out. All of a sudden, there's the term Islamophobia, right?
Right.
So anybody who says anything against it, you're kind of ridiculed, and it can become a hate crime too, which it does. The second phase, though, of their conquest is called the consolidation of power. This is where I think we're infringing on right now here in our country. They start to want hate laws. They want to acquire land. We just talked about Epic City in Texas, 400 acres. They are increasing their conversion or their converting efforts to Islam. They develop a political base. What did we just happen in New York with our mayor, right?
Right.
Anti-Western propaganda and psychological warfare is going on, and they're indoctrinating the children. So remember, who bought all of our textbooks about 20 years ago? Yeah. It was the Muslims. It was Muslim organizations.
Oh, really? Okay.
Somebody saying in our public school, they were like, there was 1 or 2 pages on Christianity and a whole chapter on Islam. And they were actually, the activity for the day in this public school was they had to practice the 5 pillars of the Islamic faith. But they didn't do that with the Christianity page or 2. So there's that going on right now. And everybody knows about it. It's kind of subtle, right? The Muslims continue the demands for accommodations in employment, education, social services, financing, and courts. When this gentleman who does these YouTube videos went over to London, everyone he asked there is getting money from the government. They're being housed, they're being given food. They were brought there for a reason. And the other thing that was interesting is the predominant, when he said, why did you move? Some of them wouldn't answer and they got all defensive, but about half of them said, well, we want to be a Muslim in a democracy. And I kind of had to laugh because I'm like, but if you take over, the democracy won't still be here. Like, you're going to have to move again. Like, surely you know the tenets of Islam, right? They will not, they don't want to.
There's no democracy, I don't think, in the.
No, they don't want to rule side by side. They don't want to coexist.
Right.
That is not in their thing. So I feel like a tolerance of the, so they start to, the tolerance of non-Muslims begins to go down. And one other thing I learned is a mosque, when you see a mosque, you look, oh, they just want to go worship and pray, right? But no, what this person said was that when they build a mosque, they're basically saying, this is our territory for war around us. and we are putting ourselves right in the middle of this certain area of land, and we are going to take over this area. Then they put another mosque in, 50 miles away or 100 miles away. And that is their viewpoint, that is a center for war. See, we Americans, we don't think like that, because when we see a church go up, we're like, oh, that's a good thing. They're praying, even though they're praying to a different God. The point is we don't think of war, right?
What was your term for this? What was the
civilization jihad?
Civilization jihad.
Because jihad before, it means as any means necessary, it would be violence, killing, just genocide, things like that. That's what they would do. We've heard stories in Sudan and places like that, where they just kill a whole village of people because they're not Muslims. So
there are stages. There are stages to this.
Yeah. So this is the second phase. It's called consolidation of power.
Okay.
All right. And they start to show their hatred of Christians and Jews and non-Muslims, and then they also start to talk about instituting Sharia law in their communities. So, for example, in Epic City, they want to have Sharia law, which would be divorce for them, marriage and divorce issues, maybe wills and things. So they want to run alongside our laws, but just use it within their community. That's what they say.
Right.
Eventually, they want to take our entire governance system and replace it with Sharia law.
Right.
So you can see we've got people now that are mayors that are Muslim, right?
Yeah.
And the more you get. So we've already talked about that. So let me go over to this report that we talked about. Now, I certainly didn't print out the 200-page report, but I'm going to give you kind of a what this group said. Now, these were congressmen, some Democrats and Republicans from Washington, D.C. There were senior diplomats, policy experts, leading research, some Muslim experts and non-Muslim experts. And the report represents the first of its kind comprehensive strategic assessment of the Muslim Brotherhood's 100-year plan, and it's at its halfway point. We're 5 decades in. Okay? And what they did is they did this report. They mapped the ideological, institutional, and financial penetration into North America. There were 2 reports that were done. There was one in 1982 called The Project, and that was written for basically how they want to take over the West. But then in 1991, I believe, there was another one written. It's called Explanatory Memorandum, and that is basically how we're going to take over North America. So these were these 100-year plans. So this 200-page analysis provided a detailed account how the Brotherhood has spent 5 decades embedding itself into the Western institutions while they maintain ideological opposition to our democracy and pluralism. And then it's a coordinated, multi-generational project designed to influence policy, education, and civil society from within. So what they're doing is they're infiltrating, and they're going to try and change everything down here. They're going to use our very laws to get what they want from us. And because a lot of these are constitutional laws, they have figured out how to work within our system to eventually turn our system against us. It's crazy. It's like a parasite,
It is. It's frightening. Quite. It is.
So here's what they're saying. Now, you guys got any questions so far? Because I don't want to just keep talking.
Well, no, but there are a couple of interesting comments I'll go ahead and put up. Our editor of our newsletter posted a couple of interesting thoughts here. We'll just throw these up. She says, what is interesting is there are many empty mosques in Iran. It's as though they were losing the battle there. That kind of goes to what Dale was asking about the people there, in Iran. And that's interesting. I don't know any statistics on that, but that's something that was brought up. And she also said they want others out of their areas because Muslims consider others as unclean and can't live around them, or they would be considered unclean also.
Yeah. So like they, in certain parts of like the UK, they're like, we don't want pork anymore. We can't have it in our air. And they're like, well, this is England, but it's unclean. There's certain, like dogs to a certain point are unclean. They sell. Remember we talked about the halal meat, the food that's halal. So it is offered as a sacrifice to Allah, but then a portion of that money goes towards terrorism organizations. Most people don't know that. So if you go down here to NAF, Ken, you're from Indy. It's a cute little place with a camel, right? Good Middle Eastern food. I think they have halal there, halal meat. And so if you buy that dinner, some of your proceeds are going for terrorism.
I'll remember that.
Okay, Debbie, I got a couple questions here.
Yeah.
You talked about this civilization jihad.
Yes.
And you said there are stages.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed what you called the first stage. I think I understood the second stage. How many stages are there? There are 4 stages?
There are 4 phases of Islamic conquest.
Okay. What's the third one and the fourth one?
Okay. So the first one is infiltration. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. Second one's consolidation of power. The third one is open war with the leadership and the culture.
Okay.
So here's where it starts to get a little more violent. Reject the U.S. government, mass executions of non-Muslims, destroying churches, large-scale bombings, things like that. So it starts to get violent, imposing Sharia law. That's going to be harder to do here in our nation because we have a way of defending ourselves and we also have laws.
Well, but if stages 1 and 2 are totally successful,
right,
then number 3 maybe won't be as hard.
You're setting the stage. If you can get the majority of the people in America to see Islam is good and anybody against Islam is bad, just think how that would.
Right. What's the 4th stage?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The 4th stage is totalitarian Islamic theocracy. And that's when Sharia law becomes the law of the land. Now, one of the things I did do, I'm sorry, I'll wait till if you have any more questions.
Now, is this what you've described here, the civilization jihad? Is that the 100-year plan?
Yes, that is their 100-year plan.
Okay.
Yep. And it includes those 4 phases of Islamic conquest.
What's interesting to me is, and I hope on COS Today we can delve into this even more and more, but China's plan to take over Western civilization. What is it? Now I can't even think of it. The unwarranted. For goodness sakes, I can't think of the name of the plan now. But it's a 72-point plan on how to take over North America without a war, without military.
Yeah.
I want us to get into that more and more, but now we got this civilization jihad. It's like the whole world has mapped out a way to take over America. It's just amazing how, and it seems to be working. There are certain signs that tell me that these plans are working, and the plans are all long-term plans. They're all nothing short-term. It's all long-term, and I think it's imperative that we become aware of these things that are going on in our country.
Well, and I'll get to this in a little bit, but basically they said the first thing they can do after they came up with this 200-page report is, what do we do now? And the first thing was, let's designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist, I think an FTO, foreign terrorist organization. And the Trump administration did do that with certain aspects of the Muslim Brotherhood, not all of them, but there are certain sects that they have designated them as FTOs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I honestly don't know what that looks like down the line. Like, what does that look like when we do that? But this is what it says about the Brotherhood Civilization Jihad Strategy. It's a long-term campaign, like you just said, Dale. It takes time to subvert democratic societies by exploiting freedoms of religion and speech, and also association, by the way, and forming tactical alliances with progressives, which is the Democratic Party, and minority groups. So they're gathering all the outliers and bringing them into and it tracks direct lines between the Brotherhood and designated terrorist entities, including Hamas and others. So they're all in on this. And their goal is complete domination. You're not dealing with somebody who's like, well, we'll live with you, but we have some issues.
Right.
Now, everyone who is an Islamic believes in Islam is Muslim, but not everybody who's Muslim believes in the tenets of Islam. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but that's okay.
Yes, that's true. Because like I have a friend and she's real sweet. She's a Muslim, but the reason she came here was that she didn't want all the Sharia law and all that. I mean, she wanted to live in a free society, but still be able to worship her God. Unfortunately, the tenets of that religion and that Quran require more than that.
Debbie, could I interrupt you for a question here? It kind of leads into a little bit to what you're talking about there with the women. So let me go ahead and post this question and see if you can give us an answer to that. It's, please ask Debbie if many of the men have multiple wives in America. I've heard there are multiple wives set up in different homes close together, and then each woman gets assistance for her kids.
You know, that is a great question because they are allowed. You know, women are so low on the scale compared to men. I don't know for sure, but that sounds very realistic to me because yes, I mean, he can divorce her. She has to have, she counts half in a court of law of what he has, her testimony. And they can rape as many women as they want. And they can marry girls as young as like 6 years old. It's just messed up.
Yeah.
So I will look into that because I had not heard of that, but I hadn't looked for it.
Gotcha.
Okay, now, Debbie, you just said that there are Muslims that don't believe in Islam. Is that what you're?
Yeah. So
right?
they believe in like worshiping Allah, and they don't want the Sharia law that comes with the Islamic dominance.
But is it? Am I correct in saying this though? That I thought that if you were a Muslim, you had to believe in Islam. You had to follow Islam. If you didn't, then you were subject to being killed.
Right, and that is true. But here in America, you're not. So the thing is that.
Can you believe that? I guess
one of the tenets that will happen as you move into phase 3 is those people who are weakened Muslims or are not totally in will either jump on board or they will be ousted.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's part of the, it says,
have you spoken to any of your friends that are Muslim about this?
I haven't asked my one friend about it, but in phase 3, the open war is they murder the moderate Muslims who don't support Islamization.
I'd be very interested in your friend's response to that very point.
Well, and here's my goal. I met her a couple months ago at the gym. She's very sweet. She knows that I love Jesus, and she's asked me to pray for her. She was sick, so I prayed for her in the name of Jesus many times. I'm building our relationship now. And I would love to talk to her at some point in time when I feel like, I might see her once a week or something like that. And we get a 5-minute conversation because, at the gym, but that's a great, I really hope and pray that I can talk to her to see what does she think, So, but yeah. So,
we are way overboard on time, but this is very interesting. No, very interesting, Debbie. I don't want to cut you short. Go ahead.
So one person, I'll just say this, one person that was writing said that what the tipping point is typically when they become a majority in the nation. So I don't know if that majority means 51%.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was kind of but nowhere else did anybody say. They just said these are the phases. And to me, it feels like the train gets going pretty good into phases 1 and 2, like you said, Dale. And by the time they get to 3, that foundation is laid, and they've all set up all the parameters in order to make phase 3 easier to do.
Right. The next phase becomes easier to do if the previous phases have been properly installed.
Yes.
And Susan had another comment what leads into that. She talks about Debbie's friend saying that she'll be able to live apart from all the extremism until the population reaches the tipping point where then they take control and demand allegiance.
And that's the thing. And so the thing right now is Christianity has about 2.6 billion out of the 8 billion people on the planet. Yeah. Islam has Muslims have about 2 billion. But their birth rate is surpassing us. So in the next 20, 30 years, Islam will be Muslims will outnumber the Christians, which is really sad to me because of immigration and their birth rate, those two things. They're immigrating to all these democratic countries. We're a constitutional republic. We're not really democracy, but they're coming to our nations, some of them because they want peace. Others because they want to help with the takeover. It just depends. But just by their birth rate alone, I mean, their age of being is much younger. Like the median Protestant is like 52. The median Muslim is like 30 years old. Mm-hmm. The median age. So they're having more babies and they're having them sooner. So.
And there's one other thing that gets thrown into the equation. I know it's not. It's basically silent here by the media in the United States, but there are literally thousands of Christians being killed in places like Nicaragua every week.
There are, and that's the thing. It's just, and these guys are all tied into Al Qaeda. Qatar is like financing a lot of this. Al Jazeera. A lot of these they're all tied in together, but it's almost like can't talk about that here.
Right.
But we're the ones that are going to feel the pain if we continue to be silent. Mm-hmm. So, and I was saddened that as a Christian, the Muslim religion is growing faster than the Christian religion. And that's part of the reason is as Christians, we are not being as maybe bold as we can be. And so that leaves a gap for other people who are undecided.
Well, the other scary thing about that too, Debbie, is Christ said basically, if you are a Christian, you can expect to be persecuted. And the Christians in the United States haven't felt much persecution. I don't know, mm-hmm. You'd have to be. I think there's many Christians that are, I would consider maybe weak Christians who aren't going to be able to handle too much persecution. It's going to take quite your faith in order to withstand persecution.
I believe you're right. We have not had any training or even sermons on that.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to hear the opinion on this topic from Turning Point people with regard to the Christian religion versus Islam. We need to talk more about this. This is alarming and very, very interesting. I don't. We talk about Convention of States and about our Constitution and calling a Convention of States for amending the Constitution, and over here we got Islam, and we got the other thing I was trying to think of is called the unrestricted warfare doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
From communist China.
Yep.
We got these things going on over here. If they're successful, what we're doing may not matter at all. I don't know. I'm just kind
And
of.
speaking of China, I'll relay a message that's on the board. I don't need to put it up, but Susan also said China's 100-year plan aims to surpass the United States as the world's dominant power by 2049. That's not really that far away.
That's
folks.
not.
No, it's a little over 20 years, but here's the thing, like just as a regular person, there's all these things going on, but I really feel like Christians is if we pray and even fast, and because God wants the gospel to spread because it's a gospel of love.
Yeah.
The Islamic religion is not a gospel of love. It's
violence.
And Allah didn't give his life for them.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't take their sin. There's none of that. Jesus is the only one. So, we really do, I think with lots of prayer and focus, I know the Lord wants the gospel to spread.
Yeah.
Well, they feel the same way with regard.
They do, but I believe that, right? But for the wrong reasons. So.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to let you off the hook, Debbie. I want you to come back and talk to us more about this. I'm not sure what that will look like, but we need to continue talking about this topic. I think it's very, very pertinent.
Well, I'll keep digging because I really was looking for something that was just a little bit more, and there's not a lot of, like I said, countries like America except for the UK.
Well, you went way over your allotted time for this, Debbie.
I'm like Brett. I mean,
you just got docked, Debbie. After all those bonus points you earned, he just docked you. I don't know,
Gosh.
Just unbelievable how I don't know, Ken. Maybe we need to skip this next segment and.
Well, I don't know what I forget what you had on the that was supposed to come up next, but I think following our discussion and the fact that we are approaching Easter weekend, we do have a nice video I think we could play after this in regards to our celebration of Easter and our actual risen Savior coming up in a week. So
I love that.
You might want to go ahead and just play that now, Dale.
I think Debbie. Thank you very much. I'll let you
thanks
go.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll have you back again for sure.
Sounds good. Thanks. Right. Happy Easter.
Bye, Debbie. Hang around for the video, Debbie.
Ken, I'll tell you, we're almost to 8:30 here. We've actually we kept Debbie on for 2 segments there. So I think what we will do, if you agree here, we will do the Lions Lyrics video on Easter. And I think I'm going to hold the recording I did with Brett on the Monroe Doctrine. I think I'll hold that for another program.
Okay. I just thought it's kind of a nice follow up after we've been talking about all the hate of a religion that's after us, and at least follow it up because we are so close to Easter that this might give us a nice lift.
Okay, so let's. I haven't seen this, folks. This is Lions Lyrics. This is a feature that 2 of our supporters, Rick and Susan Lyon, do these for us, and Ken provides the video. If I understand right, Rick and Susan provide the lyrics. And do you apply the music, or does Rick apply the music?
No, Rick does that, and that's a little bit of an AI feature that he's
another AI feature. Okay,
yeah.
So once in a while they will produce one for us. So we got one this evening having to do with upcoming Easter. So Ken, let me go ahead and trigger this, and we'll take a look, okay?
All right.
They thought the story ended on that hill. The Savior silent, the world so still. but love was working through the pain. The stone rolled back, he rose again, and now his light breaks through the night. His spirit calls us into life. We are alive again by your design. Your people awaken, hearts aligned with angels beside us. Lord, we believe this world was made for love to lead. We are alive again. Oh God, we rise. Your truth reflected in our eyes. Our nation's soul was broken, torn apart. We lost our hope, forgot our start. But grace has come to call us home, to lift our hearts, to make us strong. The same power that raised your son is stirring now in everyone. We are alive again by your design. Your people awaken, hearts aligned with angels beside us. Lord, we believe this world was made for love to lead. We are alive again. Oh God, we rise. Your truth reflected in our eyes. Freedom reborn in heaven's flame, a holy people in your name. From broken hearts to shining skies, in Christ we rise, we rise, we rise. We are alive again by your design. The cross still shines through all of time. With faith as our anthem, love our creed. The people of God are free indeed. We are alive again. Oh God, we rise. Your risen glory in our eyes. With angels walking by our side, one people, one nation under God. We live, we love, we love, we rise, we rise.
Well, you've outdone yourself again, my man.
Yeah, I thought there was a wonderfully lyric and a great musical aspect to work with. There was some portions that were a little difficult to put together all together, but it worked.
Sure did. Sure did. I'll tell you. Very good job. Very good job. Well, let's kind of come down a bit here and jump into another one of our Dave's Daily Dose. This is from our friend up in Minnesota, David Punt. And I thought this was a good one. This is called Make Iran Great Again. Kind of a catchy saying. I don't know where he got that.
Leave it to David. Yeah.
Yeah, leave it to David. So let's hear what he has to say here. Okay.
Maybe maybe it's an English as a second language thing, but Ayatollah Jr. was described recently as misfunctioning. If I were writing those talking points, I would say malfunctioning, but that's just me. Both are words. The mis form of the word is described as pretty close to the mal form. And in fact, your Merriam-Webster and your dictionary both say that misfunctioning means not functioning properly or malfunctioning. So there you have it. This is Dave's Daily Dose on BrokenRoadRadio.com. I'm David Allen Punt. And everybody has unnamed sources to describe how the new Supreme Leader is doing. And everybody says, not well. The U.S. Sun, the domestic version of the British tabloid, said their secret source works at the hospital where Mojtaba is resting in intensive care. He's missing a leg, but the unnamed source didn't say which one. He did say he's had liver damage and lung damage. He had walked away from Dad as the attack began, which claimed former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and Mojtaba's wife and young son. Nobody knows who wrote and authorized the vitriolic speech Mojtaba supposedly okayed and was given by a gal in a hijab. The secret source, who works in the hospital, said Mojtaba was on a ventilator at the time. Meanwhile, Newsweek reports that Bibi Netanyahu told reporters in Jerusalem that Iran is no longer able to enrich uranium or make ballistic missiles. I guess that means they have a limited supply and the neighbors can start the countdown. After the attack on nearby Qatar, the Qataris sent all their Iranian diplomats a-packing and called theirs home. Qatar had been their closest pal and had been hosting the meetings involving Hamas in Gaza. The goal in Iran, according to Netanyahu, has always been regime change. Bibi said this means creating the conditions for the Iranian people to grasp their freedom to control their destiny. But Iran still has what's left in the hangar. Neighborhood attacks continued through daylight hours yesterday. Meanwhile, Princess Noor Pahlavi told the California Post that the confluence of pressures from inside and outside Iran have never been so ripe for change. Pahlavi is the original Shah's granddaughter. She stood behind a lectern signed, "Make Iran Great Again." Catchy. The New York Post doesn't say where she got the idea. I'm David Allen Punt.
Well, there you go. That's where you got it from.
That's right. That's right. Always got something. David's always got something. So we like having his. Well, Ken, let's start wrapping things up this evening. And like to always make sure everyone understands where you can find us. And that is to search on YouTube. And Ken, you're going to put the link up for viewers to see.
I will do so. Yep.
Go to our YouTube channel, American Patriots for Convention of States. American Patriots for Convention of States. And there you'll find the current broadcast as well as past broadcasts and other information. But that's how you can find us and watch us live every Monday evening. YouTube channel, American Patriots for Convention of States. All right. Now, if you have any comments or questions about our broadcast this evening, drop us an email at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. So Ken will let Maringo Mike close us out here for the evening. Any other comments or questions from our viewers?
Well, we'll give accolades to Debbie. I think she's still on. Susan Albee says Debbie is the absolute best guest. So there you go. Have to pay her more.
Oh, now she must be paying Susan to say something like that. You think?
For those also that do believe in prayer, she also mentioned that if we pray for Jesus to appear to Muslims in their dreams, they believe it when he comes to them in their sleep.
That's an idea. There you go. There you go.
If you think about all the biblical stories where the dreams were used to influence the people of those times, it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah. I see Debbie is still in the lobby here. I'm going to bring her on real quick. Debbie, you see what you've stirred up tonight. I tell you.
You know, I love that God, I mean, we have the Holy Spirit now if you're a Christian, but I love when God gives us a dream. I've had dreams where I couldn't find a college roommate for 20 years, and God gave me a dream, and in the dream was her hometown, and I was able to search and find her. And I've had that happen so many times. So I know that he's going after Muslims with dreams, and that's amazing. I love that Susan said that.
See, Debbie's always got something to kind of stir things up for us.
That's a good stirring up, though.
And now we're going to have to do now you're going to have to do a presentation on dreams. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I have a dream journal. I love it. Yeah.
Do you?
Oh yeah. I ask God questions, and sometimes he gives me a specific answer in my dreams.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, there was a period in my life where I did get involved in dreams, and I kept a dream journal. I actually did that.
Interesting. You could compare it to some of the biblical dreams that God used Debbie, and make it kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine had no biblical
reference
connection at all.
That's the too much pizza dream, though. That we all get those too.
All right.
I don't want to know about Dale's pepperoni dreams.
We don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. Okay. All right. Thanks for sticking with us here, Debbie. Thank you. Have a good night.
Oh yeah, that was a great video. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Ken. That'll be it for tonight then. And let me get over here, and we'll let Marengo Mike close us out here for the evening. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, all of our viewers this evening, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back again next Monday evening at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be bringing you another version of COS Today, saving the country through Convention of States.
Happy Easter, everybody. He is risen.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter, everyone. Thank you. Ken, have a good evening.
You too.
See ya.
Marengo Mike here with a reminder of the importance of this year as we continue to grow the grassroots army of volunteers and the mission of using the Constitution to fix the ills of our government. Use the QR code if you haven't signed the petition, and consider using your talents to become an active volunteer.